And he sung of all the beauty of those realms. And now he's reached the earth, and his song is going to change
Yeah.
tremendously. And
Yeah.
that's what we're hearing now.
Yeah.
He's, he sang the inconscient.
He sang of the truth that cries from night's blind deeps, and the mother wisdom hid in nature's breast, and the idea that through her dumbness works, and the miracle of her transforming hands, of life that slumbers in the stone and sun, and mind subliminal in mindless life, and the consciousness that wakes in beasts and men.
Such a powerful section. Oh, so he's speaking first of this truth that is crying from night's blind deeps.
Yeah.
And to understand that a little bit, we have to go back to Mother and her parable of the four emanations that she sent down. She sent love, she sent truth. And as they descended, seeing their power, they turned against her.
Hmm.
And truth became falsehood, love became hate,
Hmm.
and so all of life became death. And so she had to send four additional ones down.
Hmm.
And so these four he's speaking of here is that this truth is now in the blind deeps of the night because it's buried sort of in the inconscient.
Hmm.
But he also speaks of the mother wisdom that's hid. So you have a truth that cries, a mother wisdom that hides in nature's breast. You have an idea that is working through her silence. By the way, the B is not pronounced in dumbness.
Okay.
It's
Dumbness.
dumbness, yeah.
Yeah.
And the miracle of her transforming hands. So now he's saying that this mother wisdom and truth does have transforming hands because and life that slumbers in the stone and sun.
Hmm.
And I think I might have told you once, maybe I didn't. I told someone else of Khalil Gibran. You
Hmm.
know
Yeah.
Gibran.
Yeah.
He said that the only difference in me and the stone is the speed of our heartbeats.
Hmm. Wow.
So we can see here that life slumbers in the stone also.
Hmm.
It sleeps in the stone, but it's still divine. It still has the force of the divine in it.
Hmm.
And the consciousness he sings also that wakes eventually in beasts and men. Why
Hmm.
does he sing in beasts? Well, because the animals do have a consciousness.
Hmm.
Not able to express it, but they can show it by warmth,
Hmm.
they can show it by anger, they
Hmm.
can show it by fear. So there is that consciousness, and he capitalizes the C
Yeah.
that it wakes. It wakes up in beasts and men.
He sang of the glory and marvel still to be born, of Godhead throwing off at last its veil, of bodies made divine and life made bliss, immortal sweetness clasping immortal might, heart sensing heart, thought looking straight at thought, and the delight when every barrier falls, and the transfiguration and the ecstasy.
So he is singing of the future supramental world.
Hmm.
Because in that time, this glory and marvel will be born. The Godhead will throw off its veil.
Hmm.
Bodies will become divine.
Hmm.
Life will be made bliss. It's so far from what we see right now.
Yeah.
We see so much terror and horror and evil in the world.
Yeah.
But it says heart will even sense heart. That's without the mind. And yet thought will look straight at thought.
Hmm.
There will be this great delight when every barrier falls. And there will be a transfiguration and the ecstasy. It's so, so beautiful. And the next lines we have to speak a bit about also because they're very important.
Just 1 second. I'm just noting down that these words are of the future supramental world.
You always take your time. We don't have to ever rush.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as he sang, the demons wept with joy, foreseeing the end of their long, dreadful task, and the defeat for which they hoped in vain, and glad release from their chosen doom,
They're self chosen.
self chosen, and glad release from their self chosen doom, and return into the one from whom they came.
Do you have any idea what this means?
This was reminding me of the stories that I have heard as a child, where um, the Rakshasas are mostly, coming down on earth because they are cursed by some rishis. So they come and exhibit some demonic characters, and Krishna himself comes down and slays them, and they go back to the Deva world.
Sri Aurobindo makes it even much more powerful here.
Hmm.
The demons are the asuras,
Yeah.
and these asuras weep with joy
Hmm.
because they see that the task that they have taken up,
Yeah.
and that task is really for the progress of mankind.
Hmm.
The asura pushes on man
Hmm.
with his negativity so
Hmm.
man can rise above it.
Yeah.
He says they self chose their own doom.
Hmm.
The asuras chose this doom consciously to serve the divine.
Hmm.
This is very difficult for people to understand.
Hmm.
They are going to have a glad release from this doom, and they will be able then to return into the one from whom they came.
Hmm.
They weep with joy, foreseeing the end of that task. They can foresee the end already.
Hmm.
And the end of it, of course, is not quite yet, but the supramental is here and they know it's here on
Hmm.
the earth. And
Yeah.
so it's a force, they foresee the end. They're not, they don't have the end yet. They can't go back yet, but they foresee the end of it, which is so beautiful.
Hmm.
Okay.
He who has conquered the immortal seat came down to men on earth, the man divine. As darts a lightning streak, a glory fell, nearing until the rapt eyes of the sage looked out from luminous cloud, and strangely limbed his face, a beautiful mask of antique joy, appearing in light, descended descended where arose King Ashwapati's palace to the winds, in Madra, flowering up in delicate stone.
Very good. You almost had it perfect. In fact, your reading is improving so fast. It's
Thank you.
It amazes me. I'm so grateful. So actually, it's as he's descending, his eyes look out from this luminous cloud that is strangely limned like a painting.
Hmm.
And his face is a beautiful mask of antique joy.
Yeah.
It appears in light, and it has descended where arose King Aswapati's palace to the winds.
Hmm.
So connect those two lines a little better.
Okay.
His face, a beautiful mask of antique joy, appearing in light, descended where arose King Aswapati's palace to the winds in Madra, flowering up in delicate stone.
Hmm.
So the palace is made of this marvelous, beautiful stone,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of marble. And I mean, you can imagine the palaces in those days. There was so much wealth.
Yeah.
They could make anything, and it was so beautiful. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, Taj Mahal was beautiful too, but I was there. I
Hmm.
was I was there when no one was there.
Okay.
I was there with my wife and my daughter on a moonlit night, full moon night,
Wow.
and we sat in there and we sang Om, and
Wow.
there wasn't another person there.
Whoa. That's very special.
Yeah, very special. There were
Yeah.
no crowds in those days.
Hmm.
Full moon night, and the Om reverberated through all the rooms.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a reverberant
Hmm.
place.
Hmm.
So yeah, this palace is absolutely, if you can imagine the most beautiful palace you've ever seen, that is Ashwapati's palace in
Hmm. Hmm.
Madra. And Madra is a place. Madra
Yeah.
is a place in India. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There welcomed him his sage and thoughtful king. At his side, a creature beautiful, passionate, wise, aspiring like a sacrificial flame,
Yes.
aspiring like a sacrificial flame, skyward from its earth seat through luminous air. Queen Broad, the
Brow,
human Queen
browed.
Browd, the human mother of Savitri.
So he's giving us an example of a picture of Narad's land.
Sitting.
So
Yeah.
he lands on the earth, and Aswapati welcomes him.
Hmm.
And as this is very important now, as at Aswapati's side, his wife, the queen,
Uh-huh.
she's very beautiful,
Uh-huh.
passionate, she's very wise, and actually she aspires like a sacrificial flame,
Yeah.
and she has the brow, the brow is the forehead. She
Yeah.
has she has the brow of a queen,
Hmm.
and she's the human mother of Savitri. The
Hmm.
interesting thing here to remember is what he says about her, because in many pages to come,
Hmm.
we're going to see that all the wisdom she has just disappears
Hmm.
because of Narad's pronouncement about Satyavan.
Hmm.
That will come later, but we just have to remember that she is wise and she does aspire like
Hmm.
a sacrificial flame,
Yeah.
and she is queen browed, the human mother of Savitri.
There for an hour, untouched by earth's siege, they
But
ceased
by the earth siege, you could
by
try a little bit slower and you'll catch all those words.
okay. There for an hour, untouched by the earth's siege, they ceased from common life and care and sat, inclining to the high and rhythmic voice, while in his measured chant the heavenly seer spoke of the toils of men and what the gods strive for on earth, and joy that throbs behind the marvel and the pain and the mystery of pain.
So now they're sitting down, and of course, Narad is singing to them, not
Hmm.
speaking to them, his chant.
Yeah.
He chants to them. And what does he chant? You see, he has a high and rhythmic voice, so it's very rhythmic, it's like music.
Mm-hmm.
And he speaks of the toils of men and what the gods are striving for on earth, and even the joy that throbs behind the marvel and the mystery of pain.
Hmm.
Now, Sri Aurobindo tells us that pain can be transformed into joy.
Hmm.
I'm not there yet, but Sri Aurobindo could do it.
Hmm.
He taught this fellow, you've read The Lost Footsteps, the little
No,
book?
no.
It's about a Romanian fellow who was working with the French as behind the behind the German lines,
Okay.
and he has to go on one last mission, and they tell him, "Don't go. We feel something ominous."
Hmm.
He says, "No, I have to go," and he's caught by the Germans. He's caught by the Nazis, and he's put into prison.
Ah.
And in the prison, they begin to torture him terribly to find out about this French resistance group.
Ah.
And Sri Aurobindo comes to him, and he sees this man with a white beard, and the man teaches him how to go out of his body during the torture and to
Okay.
come back into it when the torture is over.
Wow.
So he never feels any pain at all. And when the war is over and he's released, just before that, he asks the white bearded man his name.
Hmm.
No, he's a Romanian fellow.
Ah.
Sri Aurobindo says to him, Arbindogosh.
Ah.
So he says, Arbindogosh. Ah. And he doesn't think anything further of it. And one day he hears about Sri Aurobindo. He comes to the ashram and he meets the mother
Wow.
long after Sri Aurobindo passed away. And what a great story that is.
Wow.
Yeah. So this marvel and mystery of pain, that's why he says the marvel of pain
Hmm.
and the mystery of pain. But then he sings to them also something new now. He sang to them,
He sang to them the lotus heart of love.
see you missed the of.
Ah.
You read too fast.
He sang to them of the lotus heart of love,
Good.
with all its thousand luminous buds of truth, with curing sleeps veiled by apparent things. It trembles at each touch, it strives to wake, and one day it shall hear a blissful voice, and in the garden of the spouse shall bloom when she is seized by her discovered Lord.
Now, do you feel that it was in any way negative that you read more slowly?
No,
No. exactly. And I got all the words correct.
Yeah.
So this is a good lesson for us, not
Yeah.
to rush through reading of Savitri.
It's the habit of reading it. Like, I'm so used to just, so now when you asked me to slow down, what I did was I was using the pen towards each word and then I read. So it slowed me down that way.
Very good, very good. Okay, excellent. Because this is very important, huh? He speaks of lotus, of love, and the lotus heart of love, and the lotus heart of love. You have to imagine here um, the um, the lotus flower with its innumerable petals,
Hmm.
and think of that lotus heart of love with all its thousand luminous buds of truth. So love has these thousand luminous buds of
Hmm.
truth.
Hmm.
And what's going to happen? That tremble at each touch. So it sleeps, quivering. Quivering is like this, huh?
Hmm.
Veiled by apparent things.
Hmm.
It's screened off. It's veiled by apparent things.
Hmm.
What we see, the forms that we see, the physical aspects of touch in the world and sight. It's veiled by those,
Hmm.
the apparent things,
Hmm.
and yet it trembles at each touch. Every time we touch the lotus heart of love, it trembles.
Hmm.
So, so we see that it quivers, sleeps quivering.
Hmm.
It trembles at each touch. It strives to wake. It wants to wake, and one day it shall hear a blissful voice, and in the garden of the spouse shall bloom when he is seized by her discovered Lord. So, in this garden of the Divine Mother,
Hmm.
the bud, the bud of love, the lotus, which has a lotus heart. See, right now it's in bud. Love is in bud. We don't feel 100% that connection that is so needed, that we can immediately feel each other's soul. We don't feel it yet. We're getting closer. We're getting a little closer. The world's getting a little closer. And so more is going to happen now. We have to hear what he says. And we can go to the break, I think. Or
Yeah.
if you like a little more, that's no problem.
Okay. Uh,
Mighty.
a mighty a mighty shuddering coil of ecstasy through the deep heart of the
Oh,
universe,
crept through.
crept through the deep heart of the universe. Out of her matter's stupor, her mind's dreams, she woke, she looked upon God's unveiled face.
Oh, incredible. So he's still talking about this lotus heart of love.
Hmm.
Now, there is a big difference between quivering
Hmm.
and shuddering.
Ah.
The quivering is very slightly, huh? You can see if someone is just, let's say a bird is in very cold weather,
Huh.
its body will quiver a little bit.
Okay.
But if we go into freezing weather where there's no warmth at all, we will shudder.
Okay.
You see the difference? It's a degree, a much higher degree of quivering, shuddering. And so this mighty shuddering coil of ecstasy, this coil of ecstasy, it's like, I would say, like, you know, we had those things with the big hoop that everybody would turn around themselves. What do they call that one?
The
The big,
revolving door?
no, it's a big plastic hoop, and you move yourself in the
Hoop.
what?
The hula hoop.
Yeah, hula hoop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of coil, but not physical coil, that creeps through the
Hmm.
heart of the universe, just like this. You see, like going like this through the
Okay.
heart of the universe. And out of her matters stupor. Stupor is unconsciousness, practically. I could give you the exact name of it, the definition of it. Um, I would have to go to the lexicon, and I can do that because it's an important word. When someone drinks too much, they are in a stupor.
Hmm.
They're no longer conscious.
Hmm.
So stupor, I have um, a state of reduced or suspended sensibility, stupefaction. So
A state of suspended
sensibility.
sensibility. Okay.
One who is totally drunk has no more sense. But out of her matters stupor, now this is out of her matters stupor,
Hmm.
and her mind's streams,
Hmm.
she woke. She woke from those. She woke from the stupor of matter. She woke from the dreams of the mind, and she looked upon God's unveiled face. This is love,
Hmm.
and love can look upon God's unveiled face.
Hmm.
Back to previous page, the lotus heart of love.
Yeah.
That was the whole passage about the lotus heart of love. Now, um, do you want to continue a little bit?
Yeah, we can.
We could. I mean, I have no problem. Fine.
Okay. So let's
So,
go until you feel we can go a little more.
okay, now what's going to happen now, and that's why Sri Aurobindo has given us that little break.
Okay.
Savitri's going to come.
Ah, okay.
She's returned from the forest where she met Satyavan,
Hmm.
and her horses are pulling the chariot, and we'll hear about that.
Okay. Even as even as he sang and rapture stole through earth time and caught the heavens, came with a call of hoofs, as of her swift heart hastening, Savitri, her radiant thread glimmered across the floor.
So she came down from her chariot, and you could hear the horses. She came with a call of hooves.
Yeah,
Horses,
from the horses.
and just as like her swift heart, hastening. She's coming to her parents rather quickly.
Yeah,
Obviously, she has met her
yeah,
answering soul,
yeah.
and her radiant tread glimmered across the floor. So you see these words that Sri Aurobindo uses: quivering, shuddering, glimmered. When something glimmers, there's a light in it. And I can give you again glimmer. Let's see what we can do. Glimmer. So is to glimmer is to shine faintly, to twinkle.
Okay.
So even her footsteps, her tread, her radiant tread, radiant, we know what radiance is.
Yeah.
So her radiant tread glimmered across the floor.
Hmm.
So we feel her coming.
Yeah.
And what else is happening now?
A happy wonder in her fathomless gaze, changed by the halo of her love, she came, her eyes rich with a shining mist of joy, as one who comes from a heavenly embassy, discharging the proud mission of her heart, one carrying the sanction of the gods to her love and its luminous eternity. She stood before her before she stood before her mighty father's throne, and eager for her beauty on discovered earth, transformed and new in her heart's miracle light, saw like a rose of marble, worshipping the fire-tinged sweetness of the Son of Heaven.
Wow. So
So she has a happy wonder of gaze. So she's gazing in a happy wonder,
yes.
and she's
Why
carrying a halo around her of love.
the halo, yes, changed by this halo of love she came. And now her eyes are rich with a shining mist of joy,
Hmm.
just like one who comes from some heavenly embassy
Hmm.
and discharges the proud mission of her heart, one who carries the sanction of the gods to her love and its luminous eternity.
Hmm.
She stands before her Father's throne, her mighty Father's throne, and eager for beauty on discovered earth, transformed and new in her heart's miracle light. She sees like a rose of marble, worshiping also the fire tinged sweetness of the Son of Heaven. Who is that?
Narad.
Yes, she
Yeah.
sees now. So,
So, so Sri Aurobindo is basically here describing her who has just arrived in front of her father, but at that moment she is also in worship of Narad who has come to visit them.
good for you. Excellent. You see, now it's even becoming clear and you're telling me things. This is marvelous. This is wonderful. Good. So, let's go a little more because this Narad gets very, very poetic here.
He flung on her his vast immortal look, his inner gaze surrounded her with its light, and raining back knowledge from his immortal lips, he cried to her, "Who is this that comes? The bride, the flame born, and round her illumined head, pouring their lights, her hymeneal pomp,
Hymeneal.
hymeneal, pouring their lights, her hymeneal palms, move flashing about her. From what green glimmer of glades, retreating into dewy silences, or half-seen verge of waters, moon betrayed, bring'st thou this glory of enchanted eyes?
Wow. What a greeting, huh? What a
Mm.
greeting to Savitri. So um, there are a couple of very important things here. Obviously, he flings on her his vast look,
Hmm.
and his inner gaze, surrounded her with its light. But he reins back knowledge. Now, what is reining back?
He holds the information back.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what does reigning mean?
To like raining. I what I understood is like he held it back, held like hold
That
back.
is correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
See the reins of a horse?
Reins of a horse. Yeah.
When you pull back on the reins, the
Yeah.
horse will stop.
Yeah.
So he doesn't let it go forward. He holds it back.
Yeah.
So he's reining back this knowledge from his immortal lips, and he cries to her. Cry here means doesn't mean cry like that. It means um,
Speaks to her.
speaks beautifully to her.
Yeah.
And he says, "Who is this that comes?" He knows, of course, who it is,
Yeah.
because he's Narad. But he says, "Who is this that comes? The bride, the flame-born, one who is born with flame." And round her illumined head, illumined, all lighted, and these hymeneal pumps. Hymeneal means pertaining to marriage, or
Oh.
to a wedding hymn,
Okay.
pertaining to marriage. So these hymeneal pumps, their lights are flashing about her. And then he even says, from what green glimmer of glades, he even knows where she's come from.
Yes.
The glades, what green glimmer of glades that retreat into these dewy silences. And we know that in the early morning, in the fields that surround the woods, almost any fields, there's a lot
Yes.
of dew.
You. Yeah.
So retreating these woods that are retreating into dewy silences, or then he says, half seen verge of waters, moon betrayed. Now, betrayed here is an interesting word because it doesn't have anything to do with betrayal. It
Okay.
means, I should really give you betrayed. And because Sri Aurobindo often uses this word. It means to show signs or reveal. To show signs of, reveal, indicate. So, so he says that the waters,
Hmm.
edge of the waters, reveal the moon. And when we see the moon in the water, it's a beautiful experience, especially the full moon
Hmm.
when it's over the sea or something. You've seen it many times.
Yeah.
So, so, and where have you brought this glory from
Hmm.
in your enchanted eyes?
Yeah, and
Um,
he also calls her the bride because she used the garland and married him. So he also calls her the bride.
oh, he knows that
Yeah.
yes, he knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, Narad knows everything. So, and maybe that's a good place to stop today
Okay. Yeah.
because then he'll go into much more and we will enjoy it on Thursday.
Sure.
Great.